Hey, welcome to year 7 of the Backyard Rink build. This season was a bit of a roller coaster with the weather, but I'll show you how we built the rink from start to finish, the challenges we faced, a few upgrades we made, why we keep building it every year, and how we maintain it. All right, let's get started. The first step is always to measure and mark out the rink. Jack and I started by pounding a rebar stake in at each corner, and I like to get this part completed while the weather is still nice out and before it snows, and this year it was on November 1st.
Okay, last one. Should we do the string line?
Yep.
Let's do it. This way, big guy.
We'll use a string line to help mark where the boards will go. I keep the string line as low to the ground as I can without touching it, and basically make a huge rectangle. Then we spray paint where the string lines run so that the boards can be put up just about any time you're ready to.
Okay, let's see. 7 feet 6 inches.
Oh yeah.
Oh, that's a cool color.
The green mark at that 7'6" measurement is where the corner boards start and end.
Oh.
We did it.
You did it. That's right.
Good job. The light posts we installed for the year 2 build needed a little refresh, so we brushed them down and gave them a couple coats of black paint. The next step was to start assembling and putting up the boards for the rink. It's been so much fun getting the family into the rink build, and it's become an annual tradition to build the rink. For the boards, we've used the NiceRink board system each year, and we've made a few upgrades over time, including the 4-foot tall boards around the ends and then the one side of the rink. They help with keeping the pucks in play, and I think they look pretty cool. We store the boards on pallets outside during the off-season, and they honestly look like the day we got them, except for a little dirt and some puck marks. But they don't warp, and they've held up great.
What do you do in the winter? Are you excited?
We got a few boards in while the sun set, and then it was time to get our 1-year-old to bed and to call it a day. The next day, we brought out the rest of the boards and started getting to work. I cut a few hundred rebar stakes a few years ago, and we put them in the ground to hold each board in place securely. And with the rebar, we don't need to worry about the ground freezing, and it's necessary if you're using the taller board system. Each of the 4-foot wide boards snaps together using a peg system, so they go up pretty quickly once you get the hang of it. We like the shorter board sections on this side since it makes it easy to get on and off of the rink, and you can watch everyone skating easier from the patio chairs. Then it's just a matter of putting up the rest of the boards to enclose the rink, and it usually takes us around 3 to 4 hours to put them up as a family.
Got her.
I like to do a quick rinse and wipe down of the boards to clean off the dirt so they look good during the skating season. The yellow bumpers go over the top of the boards, and they're used to help hold the liner in place, and they give you a little padding in case you fall on them. They're basically a heavy-duty pool noodle, and they do make the rink look a little more pro'd up.
Woo. I'll help you with that one. It's not going on, huh?
It's tricky.
It's tricky. Good job, bud.
We always put rebar caps over each stake for safety.
Mads, you got some hops, girl.
Then it's time to start customizing the rink, and we like to do a few decals on the boards and to put some country and team flags up. Subscribers have sent flags over the years, so we needed to build a couple more flagpoles this season. These are built out of 1-inch round tubing and some flat bar. A few holes are drilled in so it can be mounted, and then they're welded together. Little man loves to be part of every project, and he's full of questions, so he helped out with the flagpoles.
5, 6, 7.
A big shout out to Jeff Bernard for sending the Las Vegas Knights flag, to the folks that sent the Pittsburgh Penguins flag, to Chris Romero for the Colorado Avalanche flag, and if you'd like to have your team's flag hung, let me know in the comments below. While the weather was still warm, I added a couple more decals to spruce up the boards.
we have the two blue lines, the center circle that's blue, the red line that goes in the middle. The white is the perimeter lighting. Hold the LED lights in place. Okay, let's find the center of the rink. Hold it against the board, nice and tight. Good job.
Here we're measuring to find the center of the rink so we can mark where the center circle and the lines will go.
That's it. Okay, your turn. Atta boy. Perfect. High five. Yeah.
Kind of heavy.
It is kind of heavy. Well, it's a little windy, so I hope this works, but we're gonna apply a vinyl decal to our hockey boards. And we'll do a hinge method to get it on nice and straight.
You'll want to do any decals before it gets too cold, otherwise you'll have a tough time getting them to stick.
All right, looks good. Here we go.
The next step is to get ready to install the under ice LED lights by marking for the center circle, which has a 20-foot diameter.
So we want to keep it about this far away from the board.
The perimeter lighting shines
Pulls
up the
out.
boards and looks pretty cool at night. We use heavy-duty 4-inch yard staples that I order online since they go in a lot easier, especially if the ground has started to freeze.
Pull it around. And these help hold it in place about every 6 to 8 feet or so. Perfect, keep going. Get it snug. How's it looking?
Good.
Next one. Like a hard high five. A little more even. There you go.
Now we play hockey on this 99% of the time, but we do lines for an ice pickleball court, which is a blast when we do play, and it definitely works on agility and is a fun challenge.
Yep, we kind of go like that so we don't bend it too tight.
Then we uncoil the lights for the red line and blue lines and try and get them as straight as we can.
Dad's gonna need help to staple it in at the other side, buddy.
We do the yard staples about every 6 to 8 feet or so, and then every couple feet around curves like the center circle and rink corners.
Woo! Now you're waiting for the cold weather.
This is our 4th year doing under ice LED lights, and they're a lot of fun for both the kids and the adults. They definitely add a cool factor to any hockey rink. The next day, the wind came up and blew in some snow that covered the LED lights. Timing is always a battle with the ground freezing, cold weather windows, and snow, so you have to deal with the cards you're dealt. You have to be a little careful getting the snow out with the LEDs in place, but if it happens, just take your time and lift the snowblower up a bit over the lines.
Good morning, guys. It is an absolute beautiful day. Perfectly calm out. The sun's just coming up over the mountains, and we're just getting ready to roll out that liner and to fill up the rink today.
The whole crew came out to help with installing the liner after we'd used a broom to get the remaining snow off the LED lights. Now there are a few ways to build a rink, of course, and I prefer the liner technique where you basically create a giant ice cube. A white liner or a white tarp will perform the best for reflecting light and keeping that block solid. Let me know what technique works well for your rink though, and what size of rink you build.
So this is water for last year's ice rink, and it's good luck to put this in to start off our new season. You want to pour it in? All right. The pour has started, buddy. So there we go. I might actually get it a little more out in the center. We're about 5 hours into the fill and the winds come up, so I got water in the edges as best as possible, and I'm gonna try and push that corner. I'll get the rest of the yellow bumpers to hold everything in place. Here's a little trick. If you are battling the wind, you just take a 40-gallon trash bag, and we're going to put some water in it, and we'll use it as a weight. We'll fill it up with about 4 or 5 gallons here. The nice thing about using this as a weight is it doesn't have any sharp edges, so you're not going to risk cutting your liner, and then when you want to get rid of it, you just put a hole in it and all the water will come right out. And then when you got enough in, give it a little twist, and you're good to go battling that windstorm. All right, once the water has really filled in, we can get rid of these bags.
As soon as the liner is tight to the boards and has enough water, I trim it so the wind doesn't get a hold of it. So it's been filling about 12 hours. Wind's coming up, and looks like there's some snow coming our way in the distance.
Oh yeah, it's got about 1 inch of ice on it already. Yep. And then here's where we're filling. It's still open. Okay, I think we're done.
Whee!
I'm gonna take you out to the rink with me, show you what it's looking like. We have 40-mile-per-hour winds, and it's 56 degrees. Let's check it out.
Picking the perfect window to pour and dealing with tough to predict weather is never easy, and it doesn't always work out perfectly, which was the story of our winter all season long. Because all the snow melted, we had a ton of leaves blow into the rink, and leaves are a nightmare for rinks because they absorb energy from the sun and melt the ice around it. So I had to figure out a way to get out as many leaves as possible, and there was a thin coat of ice I did have to break through, and I used a shovel to do that. The first thing I tried was a pool net, but it was hard to get the leaves since they were all laying at the bottom against the liner.
Dispersed.
So I had ordered a pool vacuum on Amazon for about 85 bucks to see if that would work, and I had no idea since I've never used one before and hadn't seen one used for an ice rink ever. But the water was ice cold, so I picked up some cheap rubber gloves with sleeves at Harbor Freight and got to work. I found out the vacuum does need to be completely submerged, so it will only work if the water is at least about 5 to 6 inches or so deep, and ours is about 6 to 8 inches on average over the entire area. And it turns out this little vacuum works incredibly well for getting those leaves out. It took close to 2 hours to get all the leaves out, and my back didn't feel amazing for a while after all the bending over, but it was definitely worth it. It worked awesome, and I filled the vacuum filter about 10 times or so and emptied the leaves into a 5-gallon bucket. Well, all that work, and that night we got some more wind, which blew more leaves back in.
We are prepping for yet another windstorm. Now this one is supposed to be about 65 to 70 mile per hour winds. And it wouldn't be such a huge deal, but the water is not frozen yet because it's been like 55 degrees. And so I'll show you my setup and what we're doing to hopefully get through this storm.
I used the forks on the skid steer to help hold the boards in place and grabbed as many clamps as I could from the shop to hold the liner up since the bumpers were just flying off. I strapped the other end to a dump trailer and used a Jeep and a side-by-side to help block the wind. We made it through the storm. The wind came back a few more afternoons before it blew in some snow again. Not great timing with the snow, but it actually slushed up the clear ice, which helped hide the leaves from the sun somewhat.
The wind finally went down, kind of blew things all over the place. There's furniture that's from up at the patio. And it started to snow quite a bit. Check out the rink. I got a bunch of these spring clamps that kind of held things in place. I lost a little bit of water here just because the liner flipped over, but I got that fixed up. And so now it's just going right into the water and forming a layer of slush, which will freeze up. Don't want to mess with that much. And we'll just let it do its thing. What do you think?
Doesn't really crack. Dad?
Mm-hmm.
Can we go ice skating on the rink yet?
Not yet. We need it to be a little bit harder.
While we waited for the ice to freeze solid, we got in some hockey for Jack other places besides the outdoor rink, and after visiting some family for Christmas over the holidays, we figured it would be ready.
Okay, let's try it out, bud.
The ice was pretty rough from snow melting into it over the holidays, but it was finally hard enough to get on and to shovel off. The snow insulates the ice, and it wasn't quite solid enough on the north side to use a snowblower, and so getting that snow off will let the ice breathe and completely harden up a lot faster. The wind had blown some of the bumpers into the rink, so I carefully pulled each of them out since the ice was only a few inches thick in that corner. And during a normal year, the rink would completely freeze in about 3 to 6 days or so after filling it, depending on the weather. And this year, it was quite a roller coaster of warm and cold weather. We used some snow from the rink to fill in those holes and to form some slush so it would freeze a little faster. Our oldest, who is 3.5 years old, has become quite the little helper out at the rink, which has been a ton of fun, and he could be outside 24/7 if he could be. The ice was really porous and rough, so we sealed things up with some water. Resurfacing the ice late at night is one of my favorite things to do. It's just so calm and peaceful, and I did 2 coats to help smooth things out. Family skates during sunset are the best, and we got out the next evening for the first time this season to finally skate.
Jack, you want to go play some hockey?
Yeah.
Let's do it.
Jack started to get his skating legs back from last year, and we kept getting the kids out each day.
Good job, buddy. Keep it up.
Then it was time to get our 1-year-old on skates for the first time.
Ava, I thought you were going to be a basketball player.
The kids had a great time out on the ice and were all smiles for the first family skate of the season. Now, the little kid's walker we tried out was pretty fun for her, and it slid well with those yogurt lids. My wife took our 1-year-old to warm up in the warming house while we got in a little more skating, and the full video on how that was built is linked to in the description. And speaking of warming house, I want to give a big thank you and shout out to Eric Schwer for making this really neat Minnesota Wild sign out of steel and broken hockey sticks to hang in it. He makes really cool artwork and projects out of recycled hockey sticks and runs an awesome channel named ES Films with all sorts of hockey content. I'll link to his page in the description. Thanks again, Eric.
We got rink manager Jack out here. What are you doing, buddy? You working? We got real thin ice. Got up to 59 degrees today. Hoping some cold weather comes soon so we can start skating again.
In a couple more days, we were able to get back at it and do some more skates with family and friends. Now, all the snow around the rink was completely gone, but our block of ice had held up despite the temperatures in the 50s. When we had the warmer temperatures, it got a little too soft to skate on in the afternoons, but we were still able to get out in the mornings and then in the evenings when the sun went down and the ice hardened back up. A few days later, we trimmed off the excess liner, and that weekend had a little skating party with some families. Now, having kids and families over to skate are our favorite days out on the rink, and it's what makes all the hard work worth it. So when you get frustrated with the weather and all the work it takes, think about the kids and families you've gotten out there, all the kids' smiles, and the memories it creates for everyone. Then in the evenings, when the sun goes down, we'll fire up those under ice LED lights. The lights shine right through the block of ice, and the kids love turning off the regular lights and skating around the rink in the dark with just the under ice lights and then shooting around flash pucks, which light up.
He shoots, he scores!
We have the lights set up on a couple different switches so you can turn on and off certain ones, and then the center line and the pickleball court lines have a remote to change the colors. February came around, which is usually prime outdoor rink season, but we knew our days were numbered with all that warm weather, and the areas with leaves were starting to melt the ice, so we had to be a little careful around those areas, and we didn't do any pickup games like we usually do, since only about 1 week the entire winter had great ice all the way around the rink, and I didn't want anyone to break an ankle. I've had a lot of questions on what skates we use for the kids, and Bauer makes skates with Velcro, so they're easy to put on and take off, and they've been awesome.
So we've had a lot of warm weather, and tonight it's supposed to get cold again, and we might get some snow, but we're losing some water. I always trim my liner, I never have an issue, but this year I do. So I picked up some flex tape, and we're just gonna try and put it around. I was holding it up with boards for the time being, but they're floating now, so we'll try some flex tape. Okay, this is the flex tape. Oh yeah. Oh, that's perfect.
As far as clearing snow and maintenance goes, we usually clear snow at least 20 times throughout the season, but this was honestly the second time we needed to all winter, and it generally takes about 20 to 25 minutes to snow blow, and then about 20 minutes to use the power broom. Another question I've had is what our favorite tool is for maintaining the rink, and that is hands down the power broom. Look for a used one if you can, as they're pretty expensive. I actually found this one on Marketplace, almost new, for $800, and it really does help. You can get all the snow off after snow blowing and then shoveling, so the water will go down a lot smoother and quickly since there isn't any leftover snow to absorb it. The ice was pretty rough in the corner, so we did a bucket dump, which is a great way to level out an area. Then it was time to resurface the ice for the last skate of the season. We hook a regular garden hose up to a 52-inch resurfacer from NiceRink to give that rink a fresh coat. An upgrade I'm hoping to do soon is to dig a trench and then put a water spigot right out at the rink so we don't have to deal with 300 feet of hose every time it's resurfaced. I always let gravity get as much water out of the hoses as possible and then store them in the garage. And we got in our final skating before the weather turned. Well, February 27th and the rink turned back into a lake. This is the earliest end of the outdoor season we've had. The water drained back into the earth, and before we could get the boards down, another windstorm moved through and helped knock them down for us. We were definitely over the weather, so we put everything away, packed up, and found somewhere else warm to play hockey for a while. Overall, this was a much different season compared to normal with how little snow we got and how warm it was, but the ice was still good enough for the kids and family, and we still got in quite a few days of skating. The rink has certainly come a long ways since year one when we dug and leveled it, and it's been a ton of fun improving it each year, learning from it, and seeing it get used. A big thank you to Gordy Harris, a fellow hockey player and musician who grew up in Edmonton playing outdoor hockey. He wrote the song Frozen Toes, used in this video, which can be found on Spotify and is linked to below. I'd love to hear how your outdoor rink season went this year. Thanks so much for watching the Year 7 build of the outdoor hockey rink, and to all the hockey fans and outdoor rink builders out there, keep up the good work, and we'll see you for Year 8. Cheers.